Hey, what's up guys, Alex here. Thank you for checking this video and welcome to the 13th part of the series of tutorial WordPress 101 for beginner developers. Welcome again. In this lesson, we're gonna talk about the pagination of WordPress. WordPress, of course, as a standard CMS platform, comes with the native pagination to split a specific amount of posts, a specific amount of articles between different pages. Of course, you cannot have one single page to handle your entire list of posts. Imagine having like 100 posts or just even 20 posts. It's a kind of a long page, and the loading speed it's going to increase a lot, and the readability of your website is going to decrease, so users are going to hate you. But let's take a look of the current status of our website. In the blog section, as you can see, I created other blog posts as a placeholder, so I have enough blog posts to split this amount between different pages. Otherwise, with just few blog posts, it wouldn't work. Anyway, I created other 3 blog posts, so in total, I have 9 blog posts, and I can split these 9 posts into 3 different pages. So I want to have 3 posts per page. To do that, as always, as usual, we have to access our administration panel. If we go in the section settings and reading section, we have the option here, blog pages show at most. This is the number that we are saying from the backend of WordPress that is going to handle how many posts per page are going to be print. So in this case, by default, WordPress comes with 10 posts per page. That's why I'm seeing all my 9 blog posts. But as I said, I want to just 3 posts per page, and I want to have 3 different pages. If I hit 3 and I save changes, if we go back in our blog page and we reload the page, you're going to see that we have actually 3 blog posts. So WordPress is stopping the loop automatically to just print my latest 3 blog posts. But there's a problem here. We don't have the navigation, so I cannot access the other 6 blog posts, so the other 2 pages where my older blog posts are. So how can I do it? Just super easily, as usual, we are gonna use a pre-built functionality of WordPress. These functions has to be in the index.php after the blog loop. So if we have here our while have post, this while is our blog loop, and we end while here. After the blog loop, we have to insert 2 specific links that allows the users and allows WordPress to create an anchor link to other pages of my blog role. So let's create a little bit of HTML markup to handle properly this link. So let's close our PHP and let's reopen it here. And here we can use div class call access 6. Close it. And inside here, we can use a PHP function by WordPress that is going to handle the navigation of our blog post. In this case, I want to put on the left of my navigation the older blog posts. So I want to activate the navigation to the other pages. To do that, I have to call the function next underscore posts link. And inside here, I can specify is optional, but is not required. I can specify a string label that WordPress is going to print inside this link that it is automatically creating. In my case, I want to write older posts and maybe put a little arrow in here. That looks nice. And this div, I wanna text left. So my text is gonna be left aligned. Let's duplicate this code. I don't want to rewrite all the markup, and in this case I want to text right, And this is gonna be my newer posts with another little arrow pointing the right direction. And in this case, this function is not going to be the next, but it's going to be the previous. So this section can be a little bit confusing, I understand, because we are calling the function next, that by default next, it means something that it's after. It's something like later, something after we are doing right now. But we are calling next, and we are writing older post. And in this other section, we're calling the previous, so something that is before, but we're calling the newer post. This is a bit confusing because WordPress works of course, in a normal way, but these functions are kind of inverted. And let me explain. When you navigate from your blog page, you go from page 0, so like your website/blog, to your website/blog/2. So you go into the page 2 of your older post. So you increase your count of the page to see the older post. So you go to the next page to see what's before. I don't know if it's clear. So to see your older page, you have to go from page 0 or page 1 to page 2. So you have to increase the page number to see what's before, to see the previous blog post. And in the same way it works, the previous post links. So if you're on page 3 to see newer blog posts, so the most recent, you have to go to page 3 to page 2. So you have to decrease. So you have to go into the previous page to see the newer posts. I hope this is clear, but just remember that these links, these pre-made links, are just inverted. Next, it means you're gonna see what's before, and previous, it means you're gonna see what's after. Just keep in mind that it happens sometimes that I invert these two links and I don't understand why my navigation is inverted. That's the reason. WordPress has this kind of funny control of inverting the navigation. But anyway, let's save it. And as you can see, I put my code, my source code, inside the if have post, because I don't want WordPress to print an empty navigation and to print just this HTML markup if I don't have any blog post in this page. So now let's go back in our front end, refresh the page. As you can see here, I have a nice little link that points to older posts because this is the recent page. If we check here in the URL, we are in the default blog page. So these are the most recent posts, the latest that I insert. If I click older posts, I'm gonna see the previous 3 posts. And if you check the URL, we are on blog/page/2. So we increased the amount of pages, but to navigate to the previous post. And because now there are some newer posts in the next page, this link appeared and allowed us to go back here because we don't have any newer posts. This is the most recent one. This link doesn't appear. So WordPress automatically detects if you actually have some post to navigate to, if you have an actual page where you can go. And if you don't, the link is hidden. It just doesn't create the link for you. So it's really handy. Let's go back until the last page. And the last page, this is my oldest blog post, the first blog post that I wrote in this WordPress installation. As you can see, the older post link just disappeared because I don't have any more page. I reached my last page. It is the page number 3. And this is quite simple. As you can see, is just you can add these 2 simple functions, next post link and previous post link, and everything is gonna handle properly the proper navigation. If we access a specific blog post, like for example the pancake recipe, and sometimes you notice in some blog posts, in some WordPress installation, some theme, that you have at the bottom or sometimes even at the top, and depends on the developer where he decides to put these links, to navigate the next blog post or the previous blog post. So you don't have to go back in your blog page, in your blog loop, and select another post. You can keep going through the history of your blog posts and check one by one. How can we do it? As usual, using a pre-built WordPress function. In this case, we have to access another page to insert a specific code, and the page is the single.php. This page is the one that handles the actual printing, the actual visualization of our single blog post. So if we want to put a specific navigation for a single blog post to switch from a previous or the next, the oldest or the most recent blog post, we have to insert the code inside the single.php. Let's put it after the content, after the HR separation. Let's open the PHP tag and let's use next underscore post link. So by default, WordPress gives you the ability to customize everything. You have the string format, the type of link, if you want to use a specific taxonomy, or if you want to exclude some terms from this post link. So it means that if you don't want some specific post to show in this specific navigation, you can do it. By default, we're going to leave all this information to 0. So WordPress is going to use their own default value. And let's use the same markup that we're using in the blog page. This one is actually post text right. And if I want the previews text left, this one is previous post title. So in this case, the wording next and previous is right, as it's supposed to be. So next post link goes to the next one, so to the most recent one, to the newer one, while previous post link goes to the oldest one. It's exactly the opposite of the next post's link and the previous post's link. It is really confusing, especially at the beginning, because you don't understand, like, this is kind of weird for WordPress using pretty much the same text. This is just a single instead of plural, but the functionality and the actual result is totally opposite. So this one, it works how it's supposed to be. A previous post link is something that is older, and a next post link is something that is newer, while in the blog loop, in the blog page, the next post link, it's older and the previous is newer. But whatever, just check what's going on here. Let's save the page. Let's go in the front end, reload. And as you can see here, we have a nice navigation that is really useful if we are reading a single blog post and we don't want to comment, but we don't want to even leave the blog. We want to stay in this blog. We want to read another article, and we have a little snippet of the title of the article. So if we click on the navigation, on the next navigation, we're going to be redirected to the actual next post, and the navigation updates automatically. So I can actually click and click and keep clicking until I reach the final blog post, the last blog post, the most recent one that I uploaded, and of course disappear here. I don't have any more next blog posts. I don't have any newer blog posts, so no links, no title. Also this one, it's automatically handled by WordPress. So also this one is really easy and really useful. Let's go back for a second on the blog page, because here everything works. It's super easy. We managed the amount of blog posts through the administration panel, and just inserting that simple link, those two simple functions, everything works smoothly here how it's supposed to be. But what happens if I decide to manually input the amount of posts for a specific page? Could happen that I have two different blog loops in two different pages, and in one specific blog loop, I decide to manually input the amount of posts for that specific page. So for example, let's edit, for just an example, the query post to update my values. So let's create a variable called args equal And let's put array of value, and the first value is posts per page, and this value is 3 as usual. And then I call the query posts, and I put my arguments here. Save it, and let's put at the end here WP reset query, just to not create confusion in my team. Let's refresh. And here we have, of course, because I updated, I used the same value, nothing changed. But if we change here the value in our backend and we put back on 10 or wherever the value you want, save it, we go in our blog page, we reload, you see that we still have 3 blog posts. So if we manually specify through a query post editing the amount of posts per pages in a specific blog loop, this value is going to override the default valued input inside the administration panel. But a problem appears because now if I click older post and I go into page 2, you see that nothing changed. And if I keep going older post again, I'm on actually page 3 and still nothing changed. I still see my the same blog post, the same 3 recent blog posts. This is happening because we overrode the default query post arguments value of WordPress. So WordPress doesn't have anymore the auto managing system of pagination because we put our own arguments inside a query post. So this loop cannot update itself by default with a new link. So if you change page, it's gonna always keep the same. To avoid this problem, to create a proper pagination even with a custom post per page value, we have to use another parameter inside our arguments. This parameter is page D. It's written absolutely as I say, so it's page D or paged. Basically, in this parameter, you can specify which page your blog loop is. So just as an example, I'm gonna write by default page 2. So it means that this blog loop is gonna print 3 posts per page from page 2. If we update our front end, you're gonna see that here we have the previous 3 blog posts that are inside page 2. But as usual, if I keep navigating, nothing changes and everything gets stuck in there. So what do I have to do? I have to dynamically grab the actual value of the page, the actual current page, and pass that variable inside these arguments, inside this array of values inside my query post. So I have to tell to WordPress manually in what page we are right now. To do that, I have to, as usual, use built-in functions of WordPress to detect the current page of our blog. So to access that specific variable, I have to use some specific functions knowing the name of the variable. We already know the name of the variable, that is the page variable name. To do that, we can store that variable inside a paged variable called $page, or if you don't want to get confused, you can use current page or whatever name you want for this variable. You can use really whatever name you want. And in this case, we have to use a specific function called get query var, and as a string, we have to specify which variable we're looking for. In our case, we are looking for the paged variable. So now that we have this variable, we could put this variable inside here, but a problem source sometimes. If we are in our default blog page, the current page variable is going to be empty. And if we pass an empty array to page ID to the paged argument, we're gonna break our post loop. So just to show you, let's echo the current page variable. Let's go in our front end, refresh. So now the page is 0 because we are in no page, we are in a block page by default. If we click on older and we are navigating in page 2, we are in page 2. So our variable is actually 2. And this works. If we pass an actual value, so page 2 inside our array, the array is gonna be updated automatically without problem. But if we are in our default blog page as this one, like the first blog post page, the value is 0. We cannot pass a paged number equals 0 because WordPress doesn't recognize this page and it's gonna break our code. So in this case, we have to check what kind of value we have in this query var, and if the value is empty or is 0, we have to replace that specific value with at least number 1 or at least an integer number to pass a proper variable to this page ID. We can use a super compact if statement to just avoid to write too much. So just include this query var inside these two parentheses. Let's put a question mark, and as a first variable, as a first result, we put the same get query vars. Otherwise, we put 1. So if you never saw this formatting, this is a super streamlined if statement, and we avoid to write if. This is the standard if statement. So if open parentheses statement, if this statement is true, is going to do this, otherwise it's going to do something else. In this case is exactly the same but with a different syntax. So our if statement is this one. So if the value inside the first two parentheses is true, this is a question to say check if this is true, you're going to use these, otherwise you're going to use that. So if this is true, you're going to use the first. If this is not true, you're going to use the second. In our case, if we have a paged variable, we have a paged var, so this is true, we're going to use that variable. If it's not true, so it's false, we're going to use the number 1. And in this case now, because we're safe, we can have, we're going to always have the current page variable with an integer number that we can use. It's not going to be empty. We can put this variable as a value of our page. Save. Let's go back in our front end and refresh. First page, blog, this works. Older post, page 2, and it works again. Older posts, page 3, and we have the actual pages and the actual blog post of page 3. This is great. So why did I do that? Just as I said, sometimes happens that you're not managing your default blog loop, so you cannot use the default functionality of WordPress. Maybe you have the blog page with 10 blog posts per page, and then you have another page called like reviews, where you're filtering just your reviews, or you have a page called tutorial where you're creating a custom blog loop with just the tutorials, and you want the pagination also on that section, but you don't want to use the same value of your blog page. So you don't want 10 blog posts per page, but you want 3. So you have 2 different loops, and you want to handle those 2 different loops with the same variable. So if a user navigates through the page navigation, the blog posts are going to be updated specifically to that page. And this is just wonderful. It's just really easy. We just one single variable and another custom statement, we can handle different blog posts, different blog loop through different pages without any type of problem. And WordPress can handle for us all the front-end aspect of hiding a specific link. And also for today, it's everything. Thank you again for checking this video. Thank you for all your thumbs up and your comment or your question. This is amazing. I'm stoked. Please keep going, keep liking my video, keep sharing, keep subscribing to my channel. I'm just Super happy. Thank you again and see you next time.